So here's a question for you. What do spiritual wellness influencers, self-help gurus, cults, toxic positivity, and even your favorite life hack influences have in common? If you're someone who scrolls through social media for inspiration, follows breathwork coaches, slow living influencers, self-proclaimed healers, or those romanticizing monk life, this episode is one you need to see. The line between real wisdom, healing, and performance or manipulation is getting blurry. We've got all kinds of doctors and influencers online now giving information outside their scope of practice and competence. Chiropractors giving medical advice like they're medical doctors or licensed physicians. Life coaches giving mental health advice after a 6-week certification program, and influencers monetizing your healing while bypassing their own. To the slow living influencer whispering, just journal and manifest. To hustle bros on caffeine highs and soft spoken spiritual yogis promising inner peace. These voices and images are loud, persuasive, and everywhere. They're not all experts, but they don't have to be. And who's checking? Most of us never stop to ask who these people are. I mean, who doesn't want to zone out to a slow living montage over ocean waves or hear someone rant freely about life like they just escaped the matrix? Probably way more entertaining than whatever's happening in your reality. And honestly, sometimes it feels like the only relief from the monotony of everyday life. These creators have built cult-like followings offering mental health advice, life coaching, and healing journeys with the confidence of a TED Talk and zero formal training in a system designed to maximize attention, not well-being. And with studies showing the average person spending over 2 hours a day on social media and teens often clocking in more than 3 hours, plus toddlers and young kids glued to the screen at dinner tables. And that's dangerous, especially with anxiety, burnout, depression, and loneliness at an all-time record high. And when misleading content spreads faster than facts and real life experience, we're not just talking about bad advice anymore. This is a public health issue. So how do we protect ourselves? What's the armor against exploitation disguised as healing or enlightenment? Let's get into it. Hey there, I'm Albert Nguyen, a licensed mental health therapist with over a decade of experience working with people dealing with all kinds of anxiety, trauma, and depression, you name it. So if you're new here, welcome. Whatever brought you here today, I'm so glad that you're here. And if you care about mental health and grounded conversations around mental health, do me a favor, hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification. It's completely free, but it helps more than you know. It supports the growth of this channel, which ultimately allows me to keep creating ethical, thoughtful content that pushes back against misinformation and to do more mental health outside the therapy room and off the couch. From here, it only grows and raises the bar for what's possible. So what's this video really about? It's about how we consume information on social media, especially around mental health and self-help. It's about the flood of advice, much of it well-meaning, but not always grounded in experience or training. And it's about why we need to pause and ask ourselves, is this actually helping me or just keeping me entertained? Now, don't get me wrong, YouTube and social media can be powerful tools for learning and growth, but that's up to us to decide. And we also have to be honest about what social media is. They're platforms built for attention, not accuracy. Look, I'm not here to position myself as an all-knowing expert. I'm here because I believe in helping people think more critically, consume more mindfully, take a step back to see the bigger picture, and make better informed choices, especially when it comes to your mental health. Because while there are qualified creators out there doing great work, let's be honest, the most viral, popular, and trendy content, it often isn't coming from trained professionals with direct experience. It's coming from charismatic voices, clever editing, and algorithm-friendly hooks. So even when you're listening to me, I hope this video reminds you to stay curious, ask better questions, check your sources, and protect your mental space. Let's start with a question most people don't ask when consuming content. Why was this video made? Every creator, whether consciously or not, has a mission, just like any brand or business. Some are driven by a truly deep desire to educate or inspire. Others, they're chasing views, ad revenues, sponsorships, or a personal brand built on influence. And look, there's nothing wrong with wanting to grow or making a living through content. Studies show that the top motivation for YouTubers include fame, financial freedom, and social recognition. And while connection and helping others are often listed, they are rarely the main driver unless the channel is rooted in public service, education, or nonprofit goals. Because content is hardly ever neutral. It has a purpose. And once you understand why someone's posting, you'll start seeing the difference between marketing and meaning. The internet has made it super easy for anyone to hop on camera, talk about mindset or trauma, and gain a huge following. In some ways, that's actually really cool because sharing personal experience can help break mental health stigma and can help people feel less alone, feel seen and understood. It takes courage to do that, but it's crucial to distinguish between anecdotal advice and evidence-based guidance. Consider this. A study from the University of British Columbia analyzed the top 100 TikTok videos tagged with the hashtag ADHD and found that less than half contain information aligning with clinical guidelines. Another systematic review published in the Journal of Medical Internet Research found that health misinformation on social media can reach up to 87%. This highlights how easily misinformation can spread on platforms we use daily. You have probably seen someone giving advice on how to cure anxiety in 3 steps, or talking about other mental health symptoms based on their own experience. Yes, I agree that personal stories matter. However, they are not the same as evidence-based treatment, and they definitely should not replace or substitute real mental health support from real practitioners. When people, especially the most vulnerable like teens and young adults, start following this kind of advice, the risk is real. They may misdiagnose themselves or delay getting the professional support they actually need. Guys, here's the truth. Improving your mental health takes work. It isn't enough just about hearing something that sounds good or feels relatable. It actually requires building self-awareness and understanding your patterns, facing your emotions directly, and sometimes sitting with discomfort. I know that's not as shiny or marketable as a 4-week crash course or a 30-day glow-up plan, but real change is layered. It takes more than motivation. It takes lifestyle shifts, not just one thing. Don't accept everything at face value. You don't have to be suspicious of everyone, but a little critical thinking goes a long way. Look for people who are transparent about their background, people who admit what they do not know, people who also point you toward therapy or real support and not just trying to sell you a healing dose in a 4-week online course. Your mental health is important. Say that out loud and ingrain that in your head. It deserves more than a one-size-fits-all solution or a viral trend on TikTok. Most influencers are not trained mental health professionals. A majority of them are creating content to engage, entertain, and grow their audience. While some of their content might sound motivational or helpful, remember, they are not bounded by any ethical codes. There is no required trainings, no clinical supervision, and no one reviewing their content for accuracy or potential harm. That's how misinformation slips through the crack of the system, easily and often. So it's not about being cynical, it's about being cautious, because not everything that sounds good is good for you. Now let's talk about professionals like licensed psychotherapists, psychologists, and clinical social workers. They all operate under strict standards. We have gone through thousands of supervised clinical hours, passed board exams, undergone continuous trainings, and we're held accountable by licensing boards. Our job is to prioritize your safety, autonomy, and privacy, not just give you advice off the cuff. Everything we do should and is informed either by research, ethics, and real-world direct clinical experience with real people. That said, personal experience and storytelling absolutely have value. Sometimes influencers help break the stigma and start important conversations. And as a therapist, I deeply appreciate that. I know there's a lot out there and it can get confusing. This is why I believe our mental health is too important to leave in the hands of someone who is more focused on followers than our well-being. And to be careful not to confuse inspiration with professional help and treatment. It's important to choose support that is rooted in care, not clicks. Because when someone's personal journey turns into blanket advice, coaching packages, or healing programs without formal training or oversight, there's a risk, and that risk falls on the person listening, not the person posting. Your mental health deserves both inspiration and informed support. Know the difference. Yes, you don't see most of us, therapists, psychologists, clinical social workers, flooding your feed on TikTok or Instagram, not because we don't care, but because therapy isn't flashy. It's deep, slow, and built on trust. It's not designed to fit into a 30-second clip or dance trend. Most of us are in the trenches, doing the work, session after session, not in front of a camera. But that is starting to change. More and more mental health professionals are learning how to meet where you are, and that's online. Because social media is today's classroom. It's where attention lives. And if that's where you spend most of your time, we want to make sure you're not just entertained, but also educated, supported, and better informed. Therapists like myself, we're still learning how to do this better, and we're showing up because your mental health matters. And this is one way we can expand the reach of real grounded care beyond the therapy room and making mental health more accessible. So if you're really looking for help or support with your mental health, here's what to keep in mind. Check credentials. Look for licensed professionals, therapists, psychologists, counselors, or others in the medical and mental health field. Check experience. Years in the field matter. Real-world clinical experience isn't something you can shortcut with a course or a good camera. If someone is just sharing a personal story, take it as exactly that, a story, not a prescription. And for parents, caregivers, or anyone guiding younger minds, please set boundaries. Research now recommends delaying social media use until at least the age of 16 to reduce risks of anxiety, depression, and body image issues. Some schools and even entire countries have started placing restrictions on social media access for this very reason. And honestly, I support this. I know there's a lot of pushback, and yes, it can get political, but from where I stand as a mental health professional, this isn't about politics. It's a public health issue. The data is clear. Unchecked consumption is impacting our mental health and well-being, and we need to start taking it seriously. Because most advice online, especially in bite-sized viral formats, isn't personalized and often isn't developmentally appropriate for kids. On top of that, the way we consume social media is reshaping how our brains process information. Constant scrolling shortens attention spans, making it harder for people, especially kids and teens, to engage in the deeper, slower work that real healing and self-understanding actually requires. Your mental health is too important to outsource it to the algorithm. Ever scroll through the comments of a viral video and feel like you just stepped into a war zone? Strong opinions, heated debates, personal attacks, keyboard warriors going at it like gladiators, us against them kind of thing. This isn't just engagement, it's cult-like mob mentality and groupthink behavior. Seeking guidance and community is a natural human desire. This dynamic can lead followers to hang on every word, often without critical evaluation. You might have heard of parasocial relationships. It is a fancy term for a one-sided connection. What it means is that you basically feel emotionally close to someone online, even though they have no idea who you are. Many of us have been there. When you feel that kind of connection, it becomes easy to trust them. Maybe too easy. You might ignore red flags or bad advice because it feels like it's coming from a friend. These relationships can feel super personal. That's a well-designed marketing plan. The emotional bond cultivated is frequently part of a broader business strategy. Now I have to talk about the crowd dynamic. Mob mentality online can escalate rapidly. A single critique can trigger a cascade of defensive responses, turning comment sections into arenas of conflict, power struggles, and who's right and who's wrong. This collective behavior often suppresses individual critical thinking, leading to an environment where disagreement and diversity in ideologies and perspectives are discouraged. People say and do things online that they would never do in real life or on their own. Add the ability to be anonymous, outrage, and the speed of a scroll, and suddenly you don't need the full story to jump in. Just a hot take and a share button. It is wild out there. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. But real support, it doesn't come from insults or mob justice. It's not loud, impulsive, or reactive. It's grounded. It listens. It makes space for nuance. It's respect, compassion, and empathy. And sometimes it means being okay with not knowing everything. That's the kind of safety and connection we should be reaching for. Once upon a time, self-help was about connection. It was about building real skills, growing as a person, and maybe becoming a little bit better at life. Back in 1936, Dale Carnegie published How to Win Friends and Influence People, a very famous and popular book. It wasn't flashy or about crushing it. It was simply about communication, empathy, and learning how to deal with other humans, skills that are still incredibly valuable today. The whole thing was about you can change your life by changing how you treat people and how you show up in the world. His movement was sincere, thoughtful, and practical. No buzzwords, no hack your mindset nonsense. Fast forward to now, the vibe has totally changed. It kind of feels like a never-ending sales pitch. We have traded books for short-form content. Self-help is now everywhere. You've got people on TikTok giving you life advice in 15 seconds. Influencers now organizing catchy titles like 3 Steps to $1 Million. They offer online courses that promise to completely transform people's lives in 30 days for the low price of $100. A lot of it looks great on camera. Clean desk, perfect routines, aesthetic planners. but a lot of it is more about looking like you're improving than actually doing the real work, more about looking happy than actually being happy, more about looking like you're put together than actually being together, more about looking strong than actually being strong. Look, I'm not here to knock on all of it. There are creators out there doing amazing, honest work, but we do need to talk about something that is becoming more and more common: action faking. This is us engaging in activities that give us the illusion of progress without making tangible strides toward our goals. It's a clever form of procrastination, keeping us stuck in contemplation and planning stages of change, where we continue to substitute real action with tasks that feel productive but aren't truly effective after a certain point. Things like consuming motivational content. Those things can provide a temporary dopamine boost, making us feel good about taking action, even if we haven't actually made any real progress yet. This burst of dopamine can be addictive, leading us to seek out more motivational content instead of engaging in the hard work required for actual growth. Some of the big names in this space knows this. Honestly, their business kind of depends on you staying stuck. So if you keep feeling like you're almost there, you'll keep coming back, you'll keep buying, and keep clicking the wrong things. Not all advice is good advice. Some of it is just repackaged common sense with fancy music behind it. It's important to not just passively consume content. We need to take deliberate actions that align with our goals. Remember, real progress comes from consistent effort in applying what we've learned, not just from feeling inspired in the moment. Hustle culture sounds inspiring on the surface. It says work hard, chase your dreams, don't stop until you are proud. But beneath that mantra, for a lot of people, is fear. Fear of not being enough, fear of falling behind, fear that if you ever stop, even for a second, you will lose your worth. So we stay busy. Not always because we are passionate or excited, but because we are afraid of what it means to stop or take a break. Stillness is often very uncomfortable for people. We call it boredom, but really, we're just not used to being with ourselves. Research supports this. According to the American Psychological Association, 77% of workers reported experiencing work-related stress in the last month. Additionally, 57% reported negative impacts of work-related stress, including lack of interest, motivation, or energy. Burnout has gone from something uncommon to something expected. We normalize working 50 to 60 hours a week, wearing exhaustion like a badge. But when we constantly push past our limits, something eventually gives. And you know what's wild? Even healing has gotten caught up in the hustle. What used to be a slow, deeply personal process, therapy, reflection, personal growth, is now something people feel pressured to perform. Because yes, having a good attitude is great until it becomes a requirement. That's toxic positivity. It's simply when we feel like we have to be cheerful all the time, even when things are falling apart. It is the good vibes only culture that makes people feel ashamed for just having a hard day or experiencing negative feelings, when real mental health is creating space to accept all emotional experiences. And let's be honest, some of us are gradually dying inside. Our passion, our spirit, and our creative selves. We start believing that feeling sad, anxious, or frustrated is bad, and that something is wrong with us. So we fake the smile, post the happy selfie, brag about the promotion on LinkedIn, and shove the hard stuff down. But guess what? That's suppression, and bottling emotion does not make them go away. It just makes them louder and worse in the long run. Let me tell you something you already know. Real growth does not come from buying more stuff or pushing through pain with a forced smile. It comes from being honest about where you are and being okay with not always having a 10-step plan to fix everything or get out of it. You do not need to pick just one feeling and ignore the rest. Life is messy. Healing is too. Pretending otherwise does not help anyone. The moments that actually move us forward are not always flashy. Sometimes they involve resting, setting boundaries, and saying no. Letting someone see the parts of you have been hiding. That's not weakness. So be mindful of who you follow and who you let shape your thoughts. It's your life, and it deserves better than clickbait and quick fixes. Mental health and treatment for mental health do not always look peaceful. It's not candlelights or framed in soft beige tones with ocean waves playing in the background. This slow living, slow sipping, and slow breathing influencer era, it can be beautiful, but sometimes it oversimplifies the process. I'm not saying they're doing harm intentionally. Some of it is calming to watch. I zone out to those videos too. Don't let social media confuse your mental health. You don't owe the world a polished version of your pain. You don't have to prove your growth with a highlight reel. Your healing is yours. It's a beautiful mess, and it's completely valid. Healing is trial and error, progress and setbacks, moments of clarity followed by total confusion, and that is the human experience. So next time you see a piece of content or post of someone sipping tea by the ocean telling you to just breathe and be present, be grateful that they went through all that trouble. They probably took time to scout that location or took time from their own personal relationships and vacation time to film that for you. They probably set up a tripod, waited for golden hour, rehearsed the line 5 times, changed their outfits twice, make sure their makeup and hair looks fine, recorded multiple takes pretending to catch the moment, and picked that soft piano track after scrolling through 200 royalty-free options. Also, it would look like peace just found them effortlessly. And hey, no judgment and no hate here, really. YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram can feel like the perfect outlet for our inner storyteller. And yes, a little bit of low-key narcissism. A lot of people are posting because they're craving something: connection, approval, validation. Sometimes it's about healing. Sometimes it's about being seen or liked or being relevant. We're human. We want to matter. But let's not confuse that with actual healing. And remember this, because you're healing, it won't always look this curated. It won't always be aesthetic. It won't always feel worthy of posting. And it won't always happen with good timing where you can film it. It might happen in your kitchen, your bedroom, in your car, in your therapist's office, or happen in the ugly snot-filled crying moments and in the quiet wins no one sees or claps for. It will happen when you're not performing, just fully suspended in the moment, like watching a single leaf drifting from a tree and realizing for the first time today, you're actually here. And when you finally have those quiet, real moments, you'll realize how sacred they are, how much presence they hold. And suddenly, all the polished clips and curated posts online will feel hollow in comparison. Because every time a post is created, a camera had to come in between the person and the moment. Social media offers the illusion of connection, but it can never replace the depth of actually living it. So however your healing looks, it's something you live, unpredictable, messy, honest, and it's real, and it's yours alone. It's sacred, and that's special. So what can we do with all of this? We start by building awareness of awareness. I know it sounds abstract, but it's really not. It means learning to pause before reacting, noticing your mind before it gets pulled into the next dopamine loop, being present enough to ask, who is this person? What's their background? Are they offering guidance or just really good at talking? It's easy to trust someone who looks the part, calm voice, good lighting, confident delivery, but remember, production quality is not the same as professional training. Actors who play therapists are not real therapists, even when they do a good job with the scripted role. But real life is not scripted. Personal stories matter. They can be powerful, relatable, and inspiring, but they're not a substitute for professional support. The hard truth is a lot of content online isn't made to help you. It's made to keep you engaged and come back. And guys, many people often confuse social media engagement with real life connection. A comment section is not always a community. A like is not love. Listen, we are wired for real relationships, for being seen and heard, not just entertained or for performance. So take breaks from all the scrolling. Take breaks from all the learning and digital consumption and screen time. You do not need more information to become more of a complete person. If anything, social media has taught many of us to disconnect from our own lives, to connect with an online curated life where we can't even enjoy our own life without having to capture it on camera, because sharing it with random strangers online feels more important than sharing it with a person physically in front of you. So take back your moments. Learn to live in the here and now. Learn to be in the stillness, in your breath, in your body, in the moment of just being and living. You don't need to capture every single living moment to make them important or to flex online or to prove anything to anyone. And that's where awareness of the awareness lives. It's the space behind your thoughts, the moment between the scroll and the self. It's where the real you exists. You don't need to chase it. You just need to notice it. Awareness of the awareness is that part of you that already knows you are enough before anything or anyone else tells you so. Healing isn't about chasing the next big breakthrough. It's about doing less. It's about doing it on purpose. It's about choosing more mindfully, thinking more critically, and tuning into your inner wisdom before the algorithm drowns it out. If you've opened your phone and felt like everyone is suddenly giving mental health advice, you're not imagining it. It's everywhere. Some of it's helpful, but let's not sugarcoat it. A lot of it is also misleading and sometimes even harmful. It feels like you're being pulled in 20 different directions. Do this to fix your anxiety. Wait, if you're not doing this, you're doing it wrong. It's exhausting. And here's the problem. Viral does not mean valuable. Just because something looks polished or sounds inspiring does not mean it's rooted in real understanding. A video can go viral not because it's true, but because it's catchy. That is a scary thought when we're talking about people's mental health. There is a difference between being informed and being transformed, between watching something and actually doing something from it, between entertainment and education. And when it comes to your mental health, the difference really matters. So here's what I'm asking you to do. Something simple. Think critically. Don't take everything at face value. Ask, who is this person? What's their background? Check the sources. Are they qualified to give you the information they're talking about, or just good at making content and going viral? That includes me. I'm not above this. Yes, I've been a therapist for over a decade and still actively provide therapy. But if something I say doesn't sit right with you, question it, research it. That's how you build trust with yourself. Most advice online is a projection of someone else's own experience, and while it can be meaningful, it's not tailored to you. So your job, be a wise consumer in this digital classroom. Yes, content can spark something, but don't confuse inspiration with transformation. Don't let scrolling become a substitute for self-understanding. Your healing deserves more than passive consumption. It deserves your full lived-in attention. So go do the real work, that sacred, human, messy work, offline, in your life, in your body, with your truth. Take what's useful, leave what doesn't serve you. Use what helps you grow. We don't need more one-size-fits-all healing hacks. We need safe spaces. We need nuance. We need self-understanding, not more self-improvement shortcuts. If you found this video useful, feel free to subscribe. It's free and it makes a big impact. Every subscriber helps this channel grow. So not only can I keep creating honest, thoughtful content that supports people outside the therapy room, but allows me to work on more helpful projects for the betterment of society. And as always, thank you for being here. If there's any topic you want me to cover or an experience you'd like me to share, drop it in the comments below. Your voice matters and it helps make this space even more meaningful.